call it planning by project. It means that it's not really a way to plan in a traditional way the land as normal urban planners used to do, but it's a way to work as a kind of acupuncture, so to make small interventions and to connect them, so to make stronger the links between them and the entire situation. We decided to name this project Nutrire Milano, which is Feeding Milan, Energy for Change. It was, of course, a name which is playing with the title of the expo. And we decided, once we got founded for the first 2 years of work, we said, okay, this will be a work that will be definitely a kind of huge community involvement initiative. And so we started to create a number of shorts, like the one I'm going to show you now, which aim was to try to make people understand what was the aim of the project. Now you are going to listen something which is in Italian, of course, because it is addressed in Italian.
Vorrei pane buono ad un prezzo giusto.
Vorrei mangiare
Vorrei
bene.
conoscere i produttori locali.
Vorrei che il negozio di frutta non fosse una gioielleria.
Vorrei farmi conoscere di
Vorrei
più.
un mercato per i miei prodotti.
Vorrei essere online.
Ho frutta in eccesso. Che fare? Potrei fare le conserve.
Vorrei sfruttare di più il mio furgone.
Vorrei andare a fare delle passeggiate in campagna.
Vorrei far venire i bambini in fattoria.
So first of all, we understood there was a problem. And the problem was try to make people from one side and citizens from one side and farmers from the other side to understand the main aim of the work of the project. And so we created this kind of short that is, as you can see, quite simple, but was clear enough to see what was the aim, what was the intention. And so helped very much in making people understanding that the purpose was to work around the creation of a new model of conviviality between producers and consumers around food. Somehow we are not so, the intention was a bit hard because our intention is somehow to challenge the industrial system. Basically, we believe that as far as we are able to change some basic rule of trading, for instance, and of production, we can increase our possibility of success. Otherwise, it's not possible to really help the peri-urban agriculture to happen and to flourish if we don't want to change some rules, which are basically the rule of agribusiness, industrial agribusiness. This is a point. We cannot make the two models really overlap. They are too different. And so somehow the point was to challenge the industrial system, not just to propose an alternative one and that can be anyway integrated. And so we said, okay, how can we start this project? How can we make this project to happen? First of all, we tried to put in place a farmer's market. You have to know that in Milan we didn't have a farmer's market at all. We had just very few initiatives that came out and disappeared several times. And so the point is that despite the fact that we have this huge agricultural area, we didn't have any direct sale between the farmers and the consumers. And so again, we said, okay, we used the rules already developed by Slow Food, and we started to organize a farmers market in Milan, which is actually the first one on the public land. This farmers market is in place already since 1.5 years. And as you can see, and you will see, it's not just a place where food is sold, but it's first of all a place for conviviality. There are laboratories, there are tasting sessions, there are workshops, there are demonstrations, there are people playing, there are people cooking, and there are big tables that we used to call conviviality tables that we left free and open to the space, and that by the end of the day, whatever weather we have, are populated with people eating together what they've just bought from the farmers and from the sellers. So as you can see, there is a very good variety of food. This food is mainly from the park, from 40 kilometers, the same rule that Sonia expressed. So we have 40 kilometers distance as average distance of the food coming to this market. But we also have some guests, and these guests are representative of slow food presidia from Italy and from all over the world. So every time, every edition of the market, which is currently once a month, we have this combination of producers from the closer and from the farther context. As you can see, you have, it's not just a place where you buy food. It's a place where really people enjoy to spend the time. It's actually on Saturday morning, which helps very much. And we have people just coming there as friends after 1.5 years, spending the morning. I mean, when you go to the supermarket, the best is when you can be quick and run away. So the quicker is the food shopping time that you spend at the supermarket, the best is. While here we have this kind of situation every time. And this is what's really important because, again, it's a way to make people understand there can be another way to deal with food and to understand the deep importance of food. This market is not this is again in Italian, but of course this is a very rooted project. This market is not just selling food. As you can see, is eating together, learning something through workshop, doing tasting session, cooking together. There is always someone cooking something. There is a kind of camp kitchen, and so a number of things. Among these things, given that we are using the farmers market as first service to be implemented in the town, first of a series, we decided to open an idea sharing stall. So a stall, as all the other stalls that you have seen, where we actually do not sell anything, but where we get in touch with visitors and producers to test with them and to explore with them, to discuss with them about new possible services and ideas for the project. So we use this space as a kind of trial and error environment process to make things happen for real. And so every edition of the market, we have this kind of interaction with the people, and these interactions are about the new services and the services that will be coming in a few months. So as Sonia said, we are experimenting new things, and this is the first place when we start to make this experiment. So we come to our stall every time with some idea. It is very much a design-driven activity. It means that we are not just facilitators of a kind of social discussion, but we bring some idea on the table, and we see this idea with the people. For instance, this is about the food box delivery that now we will see. And so we call it a kind of community-centered design activity, where we try really to use this moment, which is a moment of relax, of happiness, of pleasure for the people, to discuss about new things to come. One of the new things to come is actually, it is already in place, but it's under development. It was the platform, the digital platform that was delivered as support of the project and of the projects that we are going to deliver within Nutrere Milano. But not only this, let's see another service that we are implementing this day, the Farmer's Box. The Farmer's Box is the idea of delivering to some proximity points, so kind of neighborhood pick-up points, a fresh delivery of food every week from the countryside. So a food box is basically a selection of few kilos of fresh food that is delivered every week to some proximity point in different neighborhood of the town. The idea of using proximity point instead of home delivery is due, of course, to many things. First of all, to make it feasible from an economic perspective. The home delivery is quite expensive. And besides this, it's quite critical because everyone would like to receive the food, the the food box in between, 7 and 8 o'clock p.m., which is almost impossible to serve maybe 100 clients at the same so short range of time. So we said, okay, in the principle of conviviality, why don't we try to deliver these boxes to a bar, a restaurant, a neighborhood shop, whatever, that can be a kind of proximity point for the people living in the same neighborhood. And at the same time, this could be a way to involve also this proximity point in the project and to create for this, for instance, small shops, another opportunity for business. This was the first prototyping of the box. As you can see that it works as a combination of productive hubs in the countryside and proximity point in town. So we have a number of productive hubs in the peri-urban area which deliver the food to the proximity point. These are the images of the first prototyping experiment that we have done the last summer, June, July for you is not summer. And now we are launching the second prototyping phase, which is in place right now in these days in Italy. And we hope to be ready to launch the final service by the next springtime. Which, because it's not so easy. I mean, this service is actually delivered by, in the prototyping phase, we involved around 15 producers. 15 producers that have never collaborated in doing something together so far. So we had 3 main hubs in the countryside that were collecting produce from different producers around. And for the first time, they faced this issue of delivering the food directly to the consumer. And believe me, it was a mess, because suddenly we understood that they have a fantastic produce. By the way, it was all organic produce, but no idea of how to sort and combine this produce to serve the people and to give a good service. So we immediately understood that the first problem of this service was and is the training of the producers, not in producing food, but in combining and putting together the food box. And so we understood that there are many problems of guarantee, a kind of standard quality, because an hub was better than another. And we are not a company that can impose rules of quality standard, but we are a network that has to learn one from each other. So it's a kind of process of evolution that the entire network has to face. So this was this was the first prototyping phase, but this is not the last, because through this approach that I told you, and I'm concluding in a few minutes, we are actually launching a set of other services. And how does it work? It works that, as for this one, we are there as designers, as the people of slow food, as the farmers. We are first of all putting our face as, let's say, as Sonia said, okay, you see the faces of those produce your food, okay, but they see also our face, because somehow we are those that are trying to guarantee that the service will be okay, will be working, will be actually better than the services that you can get from the industrial chain system.